everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm Linda, the scrapbooking photographer, and today I'm taking part in a hop for paper crafting YouTubers. And the theme for today's video is friends. Having spoken to my very good friend Joanne, I am going to be documenting our lunch that we had together before Christmas at a place called the Storyteller Eatery and Bar in Te Awamutu in New Zealand. It was a lovely lunch. We always enjoy each other's company, and at Christmas we go somewhere different each year and have a special Christmas lunch, and then we went outside and took this photo. Now this little guy here was Joe's gift to me. He's a doorstop and he's just gorgeous. I have got a full photo of him there. Don't you just love the expression on his face? His name is Preston. The dogs actually have taken quite an interest in him, and sometimes we find him in different parts of the house, so he does have a secret life. Anyway, he will probably go on the accompanying page, but going back to today's layout, I'm going to use the layout from Follow a Sketch February, which is in the Scrapping Reflections a Facebook page, and I'll put a link to that down below. But I'm also going to try and incorporate the requirements for this week's mixed media mayhem, which is to use paint, texture and patterned paper. So let's see what we've got. I'm going to try using these scissors. These have been in my drawer for forever, so I'm going to give them a go today. I found some paint, don't think it's dried up. I've shown you the photos. There's a little bit of watercolour paper here that I'm going to use as my journaling strip. Now I've just taken that from a watercolour pad which I got at a craft shop, which was not very expensive at all. So that's going to be my journaling box, and I'm using these papers from the Cozy Up collection, which have a scarlety Christmas look about them, so I'll be able to match them up with some patterned Christmas paper. But these books here are ideal because the cafe is all about books and telling stories, so it's perfect for us scrapbookers. But you can see on the side of the wall here there's all these books. I couldn't get in and take too many good photos because there were people eating out there, but I will obviously trim that down to get rid of the boring stuff around the outside and include that on the page. I'm going to put this page together in a little bit of a different order today, and I'm starting with this piece of patterned Christmas paper and my very old scissors. So I've just given a little bit of a fancy edge to that piece of black and white paper, and I'll trim it off so that it forms that piece at the back on the sketch. Anchoring everything is going to be a 12-inch strip right across the bottom in the scarlet colour. So I've just taken the rough edge off what was left over and cut, I think it was 3 inches wide. So I'll pop that right across the side, a little bit like a belly band with these things coming out of it. I'll trim this photo the way I described, taking out the signpost and some of the concrete and that horrible fence. And that almost makes it a 3x4, which was the original size of the photos in the sketch. But I obviously can't trim down that photo of Joe and I, so it's just going to have to stay as a 6x4. Now using the watercolour paper, I'm just going to slot a little piece in there for my journaling, and I'll also add a little piece on the other side just to bring that colour to the right hand side of the page. So I don't need to trim it because I can hide all the extra bits behind. And then the black and white piece I'll bring over to the other side as well with a straight edge down there. The sketch doesn't have anything particular on the top left hand side, but I'm going to include the name of the cafe, which is the Storyteller Eatery and Bar, and I'm just going to quickly go around with my scissors and cut it into a circle shape. It's quite good with all the letters in a circle. It gives me a guide to work to, and I think that needs to go there as part of the story, and I'll have a different title down the bottom. I'm just putting some pencil marks there at the top and the bottom where I'm going to add my paint, but with these pieces all where I want them to be, I'm just going to whiz through here with my tape runner and stick everything in the right place so that I've got one piece to then put back when I have finished my painting. So this is not the way I normally do things. I usually do the background first and then work from the page upwards, but for this particular one, I just wanted to know that it was going to work like that and where I wanted to put the paint, and it was going to look right before I started. So I'm going to just put a little bit of this gold acrylic paint on my multi-purpose mat, and all I'm going to do is paint a strip at the top and the bottom. The one at the top is slightly smaller than the one at the bottom, which provides a good base. And then I think when I do the companion page, I'll do a strip down the right hand side. But we're just worrying about this page today, so I'll show you in a moment how this paint has kind of a shine to it. It's really quite attractive, you can see it there. So I'll just pop it to one side to dry and clean up that mess. And then while I wait for that to dry, I can work on adding a little bit of texture to this layout, and I'm going to do that by adding some stitching. So using my T-ruler, which has holes in it that I can pierce through, I've just made a few guide holes where I want the stitches to go, and I'm going to use this red pearl cotton on the right hand side to make, I start with 2 cross stitches and then I end up with 3. So it pays to make the holes where you want them just with the piercing tool first, and then use the needle to make it a little bit bigger so that you don't end up with holes that are too big or too small to get through. I quite like adding stitching. I haven't done a lot of it. One of the ladies in this YouTube hop does a lot of stitching, and that would be Tara from the Paper Snob, and her stitching is amazing and quite inspirational. So if you get a chance to see some of her videos where she's done it, do so, because it's really cool to see what she does with it. So I'll just add these 2 cross stitches first, and then I decide I'm going to add another one into the middle. So I get my T-ruler out again and pierce just a couple more holes in the middle in between those 2. It's interesting adding stitching as my texture, because often you think of adding texture as texture paste, or I do, but this is a different sort of texture. I'll just tie it off on the back, and it's quite handy to use the needle to be able to thread it through so it's not all fingers, and then trim it off, and then I'll just tape it down when I attach that to the white daisy. So on the other side, I'm going to put some gold ones, but not until I've added it to the white daisy. So I'll just put all of the tape runner where it needs to go and bring in the piece which is now dry and pop that into place. Then I can get the piercing tool and the T-ruler out again to mark a couple of spots on that left hand side where the stitches are going to go through the black and white pattern paper and the white daisy. The gold thread I'm going to use is 6-stranded metallic thread, so it's a little bit bulkier than the red pearl that I used on the other side, but it works quite well, and I was lucky that it threaded easily when I was doing it on camera, so that was good. And the same thing, I'm just going to make the pierced holes just a little bit bigger from the front, so that pushes the cardstock through to the back, and then I'll come from the back so that the join or the knot is obviously on the back. Leave a little bit of a tail on the back so that I've got room to tie it off when I'm finished these 2 stitches. Apart from the Paper Snob that I've already mentioned, there will be others in this YouTube hop, so there's a description below of everybody taking part. So if you have a look and follow through those videos, I'm sure you'll see lots of different layouts and bits of inspiration about friends for you to either copy or enjoy. Please remember to leave a like and a comment if you can, and if you haven't subscribed to that person's channel and you like what you see, then your subscriptions are always welcome. Thank you to those of you who have subscribed to my channel. I really appreciate it. And if you haven't done so yet, perhaps today you'd like to push that subscribe button and make sure you don't miss out on any new videos that come up. I'm just tying off this gold thread now, and with 6 strands it can be a little tricky sometimes, but I think I got it secure. And then I'll just add a little bit of the dot roller to secure those tails down. So now we've got the basis of our layout. I can add the books along the bottom there. I decided in the end to put them across the bottom of that photo just to even that bottom up a little bit, and it also covers some of the concrete. There's 2 titles there that I was tossing up between, but in the end I went for Thankful for You, which is entirely appropriate for our photos, and it also works better with the colour scheme than the yellow one would have. I think that would have been lost in the gold paint. So I've added another little scarlet sticker there about giving gifts, and then straightened that black and white piece in the background, which is a little bit off. So now I'm adding a few enamel dots. I'm just popping some white ones in there with different sizes and putting a heart one in the middle. And I think they provide yet another kind of texture. So we've got these, the stitching, the watercolour paper, and of course the cardstock and the paint as well. So there's a little bit of texture to meet with the mixed media mayhem criteria. So I quite like this little heart in the same scarlet colour. So I've added it to the top just to bring a little bit of that colour up into the top half of the page. And you'll also notice that I've now completed my journaling, and then I'll put another little scarlet sticker on the top of that just to fill in that gap. And that completes my layout for friends. I hope you enjoyed watching that video. Thank you so much for joining me. I'm happy with the way it's a little bit different to the sketch, as the sketch was just a base to start from. Happy crafting, everyone.